is section 3, function notation. So this beginning part we did in class. So if you missed it, go ahead, pause the video and fill it in. So if you didn't pause the video, we are moving on. So this is all about function notation. So functions have known properties, so we can notate them differently. So instead of having our equation y equals 7x minus 3, we can rewrite it as f of x equals 7x minus 3. So in our top one, this top equation, x is the input and y is the output. But in our function notation, x is still the input, but f of x is the output. And this is read as f of x. So we're going to practice rewriting the following equations in function notation. So instead of y, we're going to write f of x equals negative 8x minus 3. Our next one, we have y equals 4h minus 2. So instead of y, we can write it as f of, but look at, we have h here, so we write f of h equals 4h minus 2. So you always use whatever the input variable is. So in this case, we had h, then we write f of h. With function notation, we also don't always have to use f. We can use other letters. Commonly, you'll see g, so we can do g of x equals 2/3 x plus 11. So you'll see g of x or h of x, f of x, those are our most common ones you'll see. So evaluating functions. So given that f of x equals 9x plus 12, if we have f of negative 2, all you're going to do is take x and you're going to replace it with negative 2. So we have 9 times negative 2 plus 12. So this turns into negative 18 plus 12, and that becomes negative 6. So f of negative 2 is negative 6. So let's practice some more evaluating. So given that h of x equals negative 2x minus 4, evaluate for the following. So we have h of 1. So we're going to take 1 and we're going to plug it in. So we have negative 2 times 1 minus 4. That turns into negative 2 minus 4, which is just negative 6. So h of 1 is negative 6. H of negative 3, so again, I'm just going to plug in for x. Negative 3 is x. So you have negative 2 times negative 3 minus 4. So positive 6 minus 4. If we evaluate that, 6 minus 4 is 2. So h of negative 3 is equal to 2. Okay, flip the page. So just a couple more evaluating problems. So we're given 3 different functions up at the top. So our first one, we have f of 7. So we're going to use our f function. So instead of x, we're going to plug in for 7. So we have 9 times 7. 9 times 7 is 63. Okay, easy enough. So f of 7 is 63. Number 12, we have g of 18. So now we're going to use our g function. Instead of x, we're going to write 18. So we have negative 2/3 times 18 plus 7. So in your calculator, you're going to plug in 18. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Trying to get this to pull up next to us. I gotta change the view. Sorry about this. Okay. So in your calculator, this is what you're gonna write. You're gonna do -2/3 times 18. So that gets us -12. -12 plus 7. This whole function ends up being -5. Okay. Next one, we have h of 22. So we're going to use our h function. So we have 1/2 times 22 minus 10. If you're using the calculators on the wall, remember to use your A, B, C button. So you'll type it like this. You'll have 1, and then hit your A, B, C button. 2, it's going to look like that, times 22. So 1/2 times 22. We get 11. 11 minus 10. H of 22 is 1. Okay. Our next one, we have two functions subtracting each other. So what we have to do is we have to evaluate one function, and then we're going to evaluate the other function. So g of 30. So we have 2/3 times 30 plus 7. So -2/3 times 30. We have -20 plus 7. We get -13. Now you're going to evaluate your h. So minus our h of 4. So minus 1/2 times 4 minus 10. So 1/2 times 4. We have 2. 2 minus 10. So minus -8. So now we have -13 minus -8. So in your calculator, -13 minus -8. This ends up being -5. And that's for the whole thing. Okay, next one. We have 7 times the entire function of f of 2. So f of 2, that's 9 times 2. And this whole thing is being multiplied by 7. So 9 times 2. So we have 7 times 18, which is 126. Okay, now we have a multi-step one. So we're going to do 3 functions. So f of -5, so that's 9 times -5, plus h of 14, so 1/2 times 14 minus 10. Putting parentheses around each of these functions just so we can keep the answers separate. Minus g of 21, so -2/3 times 21 plus 7. So 9 times -5, that is -45, plus 1/2 of 14 minus 10. So see how I typed it in with parentheses and everything? So you can type it in all at once. We get -3 minus -2/3 times 21 plus 7. -7. So altogether we have -45 plus a -3 minus a -7. We end up getting -41. on to our graph. So 17, complete the table to graph the equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our x values and we're going to plug them in our function. So 2 times negative 2 minus 1. So in your calculator, 2 times negative 2 minus 1. So y is negative 5. Y or f of x, they're the same thing. 2 times negative 1 minus 1. So in your calculator, 2 times negative 1 minus 1. Negative 3. 2 times 0 minus 1. So 2 times 0 minus 1. So you're just going to keep doing this going down the line. 2 times 1 minus 1. Get 1. 2 times 2 minus 1. 3. So now here's each of our points. So this is the point, negative 2, negative 5. So you go back 2, down 5. Back 1, down 3. On 0, down 1. Right 1, up 1. Right 2, up 3. So there is our function. And we know it's an equation, so you can connect your dots, and then make sure you put arrows on the end of your line. Okay, try again. So again, I'm going to make some space for my work. So negative 3/4 times negative 8 plus 2. So if you have one of the blue calculators, you're going to write negative 3 ABC button 4 times negative 8. Then plus 2. So negative 3/4 times negative 8 plus 2. Make sure you have parentheses. So we have 8 negative 3/4 times negative 4 plus 2. So the time plug in negative 4, we get 5. Now I can plug in 0. This one's kind of easy. We know that this just turns to 0, so our answer is just the 2. Now we have negative 3/4 times 4 plus 2. Negative 1. Negative 3/4 times 8 plus 2. Negative 4. So now we have these points. We can go ahead and plot them. So at negative 8, we're at positive 8. Negative 4, we're at positive 5. At 0, we're at 2. At 4, we're at negative 1. And 8, we're at negative 4. And then connect your dots. Okay, and we are done. So the biggest part of this is that you need to make sure that you are plugging in your points correctly in your calculator. So make sure you're using the correct notation. Your answers on the homework. Let's see if I have the packet. So your homework is function notation, evaluating functions. So our example, f of x equals 2x minus 8. This is read as f of x. To evaluate a function for a specific value, substitute the value in for x. So when you're doing these problems, make sure you use parentheses. So look at number number 4 right here. We have a negative 4. So when we plug in negative 4 squared minus negative 4. Negative 4 squared is positive 16. These two negatives make a positive 4. So this answer is 20. Remember, negative 4 squared is negative 16. Negative 4 in parentheses squared is positive 16. So make sure you're using parentheses when you plug in. To get this little squared button, you're going to have to see it on your calculator. It's going to be a button right next to your 7. The button on your calculator is right next to the 7. It looks like this, x2. So you type your number, parenthesis, negative 4, parenthesis, and then hit this x2 button. So when you type it, do negative, parenthesis, negative 4, parenthesis, and then caret 2. And it should show a little smaller 2 next to it. So it should look like that on your calculator. Okay. Make sure you do every single one of these. These are 3 separate problems. And out on this page, when it asks you what f of negative 4 is, that means when x is negative 4, what's your y value? So at negative 4, this is f of negative 4, which is at 2. Okay, thank you for listening to my whole long video.